Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Memorial Championship presented by Discraft. We're back at Fountain Hills. This is the back half of round number 2, and myself, along with Jamie Spencer, giving you the action of this Fountain Hills course. We've got our lead card in the FPO division, and we've got beautiful hole number 10 to get things started. Jamie, you got to turn something over or throw an Anheuser here?
I like to do an Anheuser with a really, not a really understable disc, but an understable driver that's just going to hold that line. Or you can do a nice little forehand. Either way, you just want to get as close as you can to that basket without hitting one of those trees.
Yeah, you have plenty of room to the left. Well, more room to the left, I should say. You just don't want to really stymie yourself up onto that right side. And here's Ohn with a forehand. And she's pushing right. She might be a little obstructed.
Yeah, she's going to have that tree in her way of that putt, so it's going to be a difficult one. To get the two, that is.
Erika didn't hear your stability tip. I think she needed a little less stability on that disc.
Yeah.
There's Valerie. And that one surprised. I didn't think that one was going to finish or hyzer out for her.
Yeah.
Wherever it was, it came back on her. But she's in the open and she's got a look. And Hailey's going to go with a forehand. And that skip puts her almost pin high.
Nice little up shot.
You've talked a little bit about the wind, and right now we're kind of actually hearing it. It's not overpowering, but it's definitely there. And I feel like this is some of the most wind that we felt thus far in the first 2 days. We'll see if that continues.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
I was just thinking back to hole 7 and the confidence that we've seen in her putting. And then here, now, not nearly the danger that you see on 7, but uphill, solid run right into the heart of the chains. Just great putt there by Valerie.
Yeah. That makes you feel good, too, when you got such a big putt like that, just to walk away and just get that bird. I mean, you just can't get much better than that.
No, just the feeling of accomplishment. Maybe you're mentally or resetting yourself to go into the back, the back 9, regardless of what you've done on the front. Some people I know think, okay, I'm heading to the back. And we're heading to hole 11. Big shout out again to Gatekeeper for the assist on the drone previews here. But pretty straightforward hole in hole 11? Or do you think about the danger both on the left and the right?
Well, if the wind's in play again, I mean, you do get worried that you're going to get a little bit too much of an angle and then roll right down to that water area. So it just depends on what you're going for. If you're going to do a forehand or an Anheuser, if that wind comes into play, that Anheuser could be gone before you know it.
And that doesn't really hook up at the end, but she's up on the hillside on the right, perfectly good position. Ohn asking for it to come back. Maybe just not quite enough legs under it or time for it to come back. Oh no.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting. I think we've seen now Erika. I don't know if she was trying to maybe compensate for not turning it over enough on the previous hole as Hailey hits the tree and goes OB. The last hole we said she didn't turn it over enough. Now, was she thinking about that when she came to this hole and then just overcranked it and turned it into the ground?
Yeah, and it could be that wind. That wind getting into their head too. If you got a little bit of that left to right wind pushing you, you're going to do something a little bit different. And sometimes that really affects your play.
Of course, per the rules, anytime you go out of bounds, your group will give you a spot where they last think you were in bounds, or where they think you were last in bounds. Not them last thinking.
That's a good upshot. Should get a look at a putt.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, in terms of recovery shots, you can't ask for much more than that.
nice and clean too.
And that shot could be a little bit tricky because obviously it can catch edge, and next thing you know, you can find yourself 40 or 50 feet below the pin.
Mm-hmm. And you can see there's so much change in that grass too. There's thin grass, and I mean, some of that water just runs down. So you get spots that are nice and green and lush that are just going to stick, and other spots you're just going to roll.
Well, this is a little bit of an awkward one. Those two trees, of course, guarding the basket, and you see disc hit those trees. Oh, okay. Well, she stopped. But all too often, if a disc hits the tree or metal on this hole, they're so likely to get up and roll away.
Yep.
I know we're just through 11 holes, but I have to ask Jamie, what's your favorite hole? Oh, here at Fountain. Have we already played it?
I don't know if I necessarily have a favorite hole. I know number one's definitely not one of those. It's
Fair
definitely the
enough.
one I dread walking up to every single time. If I could just skip that one, I would be better off. But probably, let's see. Shoot, I think I like that last Anheuser one. I like a hole number 10. I think that's a fun
Okay.
one.
All right. I like it.
I think it's because it's so new though too. It's new.
Sure. All right. We move to 12. Downhill certainly does not play the 290 that it's marked at, not only because it's downhill, but then it slopes the entire way. So if you throw this 240, 250, and you have the right angle on it, it may skip right to the pin.
Mhm.
Now we see a variety of shots. We see the low shot there by Ohn. This one's relatively low by Valerie. Do you like the spike, or do you like more of kind of the low skipping shot?
I like the low skipping shot a little bit.
Puts Erika on the dance floor. And 4 pretty similar shots, but Hailey seemed to have the right amount of power.
Looked like a mid-range she threw. Is that correct?
That's what it looked like. Yeah, and I also just saw I was too busy laughing at the guy behind the basket that was made a stop, and then he put it in reverse, went the other way, and that was very polite of him. And so I'm not really making light of it. He realized he was about to walk into the line of the golfer, and then he stopped and went back. So that was very polite. Val doesn't connect. You see that look in her face of like, dang it, I don't, I'm short again, just barely, get it up.
Yeah, I mean, this is a hole you do want to walk away with a birdie. It'd be really nice just to get a bird on this every time. There you go.
As you mentioned that, I'm very shocked to see, thanks to PDJ.com, that this played over par, 3.22, and I don't know if that's just, finding OB or three putting or what, but very surprising to see this one play over par today.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that. I think you're going for that birdie, you want it, but then you get the 3 and you're like, okay, fine.
Erika will tap in with a missed opportunity and doing her diligence there. Yes, everyone, I know there's a lot of comments. I'm not going to get into a COVID argument, but the rules of the event were the mass and to do that. So in case you're wondering, that's what that's all about. So here we are on hole 13. Plays a little bit easier with a tree branch missing. Basic hyzer shot for you, Jamie?
Yeah, especially with those tree branches that they cut off. It really opened that whole right side up. So just a nice driver on a hyzer, skip up to the basket. Or a little past it.
And that'll work. And, it sits on the little mound there. So that's something you have to think about somewhat when you're putting, but very, very attackable hole.
Mm-hmm. And that's a bummer right there. You landed right next to the basket and rolled 20 feet away.
It's like, just sit right there.
Yeah.
And Valerie says, hey, I'll play it a tad short, scoot up to it. And we got a good look at birdie. Here's Hailey.
There you go, Ohn.
Making it look easy. Hole 13, the easiest hole on the course.
Oh.
So good to see the birdie. It averaged 2.72 on the day.
Not a lot of OB to play with here either. I mean, you got some a little bit deep in that gun night.
Yeah, and that's a great point. This is arguably the safest hole on the course. I mean,
yeah,
I can't think of a hole. Yeah, you're right. If you find yourself, in the gully ditch reserve thing, whatever that is back there, I can't think of the word. If you find yourself there, that's really literally the only OB, and probably this is the safest hole on the course. What's the word I'm looking for, Jamie? What is that thing back there?
I thought it was gunite. Gunite.
Well, like the tunnel, the water drainage thing. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to Google it? I can Google it.
No, I'd rather live in my ignorance. I own it well usually. All right, we're moving over. Big thanks to Double G Craft Jerky. Playing downhill here for hole number 14. This one's a little bit testy. What do you think is the optimum play?
Well, we did have someone come into play on this hole this day, so it did change some of the throws. If you can get something with a little bit of flex on it and then come back nice and stable at the end or overstable at the end to the basket, you're looking at a good shot. You just don't want it to stay too right. You definitely don't want it to go too stable before it has time to get that full flight. And
Wow.
that's what you do, apparently. That's a beautiful shot.
Just keeping it low, playing the forehand, putting it right up next to the pin. Valerie says, well, let's see if a backhand works. Oops. Okay.
Wow.
What I love about that is we see shots back to back with about the same result, and obviously two opposite ways of doing it. So really dealer's choice here. Let's see if Erika gets a little bit of the skip. Depends on, oh no. She could have used the extra, 10 or 15 feet on a skip there.
Oof, good bid. She was excited about that too. She thought that was in. That looked really good.
So close. Hailey's going to remain at even after putting herself right next to the pin and a little bit high and tight, like one of my haircuts. That works. Ohn she's so direct, and she never is short to have a funny conversation with her card and also dole out the accolades. And just every time she's talking, she always has a hint of direct humor to it as well, as she taps in for the birdie. All right, we're through 14 holes. Beautiful Fountain Hills, round number 2. We'll be back in a moment.
Talking during these commercials?
What's that?
Are you gonna talk during these commercials?
No. well, now I'll just go back and edit this out, but no.
Oh, because they're talking on their own. I can't hear it, huh?
Oh, I apologize. There's just music.
Ah.
Now we're back for hole number 15. Straight shot heading back up toward one of my favorite places, Euro Pizza. No, they don't pay me to say that. In fact, I pay them to eat their delicious calzones. But this is a tough one for the FPO field to try and get the birdie. It feels like you really need to put a pump on it at 426.
Yeah, absolutely. And then try not to hit that tree while you're at it too. If you can get right over the top of that, you're looking at a good shot.
So Ohn is at least even with the tree, and obviously it won't be in play on her second shot. Val, taking your advice, staying to the left of it, away from the tree. I think Hailey on a good pull can get there.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Okay, about circle 2.
Yeah.
Again, staying clear of the tree. I mean, I consider those 4 successful drives on this hole, and you're just trying to,
absolutely.
Do the work to get up and down and walk away with a 3.
Just thinking after the last hole where they were having fun and laughing, that's the way you should play disc golf. If you can walk into every shot with a smile on your face and just have a good time, that's just the way to do it.
I like to go into bitter rage mode personally, but yeah, I guess we could we could go with your advice. And a couple pitches up toward the pin. Placement is, you saw Hailey very intentionally go up and left. She's just trying to take those trees out of play. So if you can, pinpoint where you're approaching, the left of these trees will be a little less stressful.
Yep. There we go.
Just scooting it in, and unfortunately there were in fact 0 birdies on this hole. And this is one of those holes where sure you might not be getting the birdie 2, but just play it safe. Take your 3. No, you're not going to, with the thought that you're not going to lose any strokes to the field. In fact, you'll probably gain them. So just take your 3 and move on. You don't have to get fancy. Jamie, are you accused of being too fancy?
No, but I really wanted to say something there, and I just like, oh, bite your tongue, Jamie.
That's no fun. All right, we're heading over to hole 16. Usually one of the easier holes on the course. What does a good shot look like for you on 16?
Something that can come back hard at the end. If you can just really lay it out there. I feel like you need a little bit more heat on this than you think to really get to that inside that circle. So every time I throw it, I'm a little surprised. But if the wind's not in play, if you can just get something straight out there that comes back hard, that's a good shot.
Ohn pauses a moment to listen to those, rip-roaring cars, those real bad blank people out there just ripping. What is it with hot rodding around Fountain Hills? Isn't everyone there like not young?
Not necessarily, or they do have the money to have one of those kind of cars. So they gotta try it out.
I guess. So Ohn's was a little low. You see Valerie skipping past it. She's, I think, just about at circle's edge.
Yep.
Ring it up. Ooh.
Nice shot.
And maybe that speaks to what you were saying. That looked perfect out of her hand. I thought, she's going to be right underneath the basket or going for the ace, and she comes up about 20 short.
Yeah, you put the amount of pressure on these discs and you throw them real hard on this hole, and you end up coming short, and it disappoints you a little bit because you really feel like you should be able to get there. So it's kind of a frustrating hole, if anything.
Hailey's dips in and out. So at best, she's looking at a par. Valerie's putter's been good, but that one's short, slightly uphill.
Yep.
See if Erika can convert.
There he is. Oh, good job.
Yeah, hole 16, second easiest hole on the course statistically, coming in at 2.78. So Erika trying to do her part. You can see Dylan. This is early in his cameraman career, and I mentioned it last round. Just incredible. Him and Dustin capturing 2 rounds a day. And just for clarification, this is the order in which they went. Ohn was, I think, waiting on maybe the tee shots of hole 16 there behind her. She's kind of frustrated that didn't stick. She was waiting on the tee shot. So per the rules, you know, they call it flow of play. They had all the other women that were comfortable putting. They putt, and then Ohn waited for everyone just behind the basket to clear on 16. So that's why it looked a little out of sorts, but all on the up and up as we had down and down on 17. One of the longer holes out here, Jamie, and again, I feel like this one's going to be a bonus if somebody can drive this one all the way to the pin and get the birdie.
Oh, that would be so exciting. I definitely tried. It's just not quite there.
Well, the good thing about this hole is you can try as hard as you want, right? Like this is a rip.
Yeah, you can get out there. You can definitely put some heat on it, and you're not really going to run into much. You just, like I said, I think last time, is you don't want to be in line with those palm trees.
Ohn doesn't like it. Some audible distaste for that one.
That'll play good.
Excited to see what Hailey has here. One of the longest throwers in our game. All right. It's tough to make from there, but it should be a really routine approach.
Yeah. It's hard to tell if that was a little long or.
Yeah, I think it was a little too much sauce on that one. We'll see just how far beyond the basket she is, but she definitely had a little too much on it.
That looks good.
And just notice how, you know, the other 3 women were throwing an approach shot, and Hailey was really just kind of an extended putt to put that up next to the pin, certainly take advantage of that distance. And Ohn, like you mentioned, at least outside the circle. And this is where that placement and these 2 trees come into play. She's only gone, you know, 15, 18 feet past the basket, but she's still obstructed.
Oh, yeah. Yep, she gets it.
She's like, shut up, Terry. I got this. And they're starting to clear out. I know I said Dustin and Dylan. I want to thank Gary to the O, who worked tirelessly on the edits, along with all my Patreon subscribers. The guys over at First Light, Dan and Boyd, a huge assist on the weekend. And Tanya here locally. We were doing some work over at her house to make all these edits and everything else happen. So thank you. It's been, I can't say enough, Jamie, about coming to Arizona and the culture and the atmosphere and the community and the camaraderie that you guys have put together for the Arizona disc golf scene. It's incredible.
Thanks, Terry.
Let's take a look at 18. What are they trying to do here?
Stay out of the water and don't go over the sidewalk. Just stay on the green.
Okay.
And it sounds easy, but it's really, you know, there's a lot of things that come into play here. because you throw something and then it gets more stable at the end, then you didn't expect that to happen. You thought, well, that hasn't happened all day. Why is it happening now? I don't know why that happens, but it's very frustrating sometimes.
That just needs to sit. Oh, nice. Checks
There
up.
we go.
Yeah, I think the two mistakes here, either you let it stall and it finds a air
Mhm.
shot finds its way into the water, or you over crank it too much and you could get a cut roll and it could roll into the water. So you really have to control your angle. And Hailey was up and ready to throw right away, and it looked like there might have been a slip there. And
Oh,
the coots agree. Well executed. Exactly what
yep.
you're looking to do. And now Hailey, way back here has at least 310, maybe 325 feet to go, and trying to make that recovery shot to hopefully still walk away with a bogey.
Looks like it was a good upshot.
Yeah, she's put herself in a position, with where she went out of bounds, the best she could muster is a 4, and we'll see if she can, convert on that. And Owen says no glide. I love listening to her out there, always chatting it up with her card mates. You see Val left side, slightly uphill, but looking at a par to finish out.
And I think that's all you really want to do on this hole is walk away with a par. We don't need to be a hero and try to go for a bird. If you can get a par on this and walk away with a smile on your face, that's a good finish to your round.
And Haley's bogey attempt comes up short. And I think you really nailed it right on the head. Walking away from here, obviously it's the final hole of the day. You're going to put your head down at night and you're thinking, man, why did I run at that? Why did I turn that, that 3 into a 5? So just be content. If you're out of position, take your 3 and call it a day.
Yep.
And we're nearing the halfway point at the completion of this hole. 4 rounds, of course, assuming you make the cut. There's 4 rounds at the tournament. The next 2 days are at Vista del Camino, a very different course, but equally as challenging, if not more.
Yep.
So Valerie's going to be sitting at that 5 under. Ohn taking the bogey. She's at 1 under, and the double as Hailey closes out. And she's going to lose a little bit more ground. All right. Well, Jamie, I can't say it enough. Thank you so much for joining and giving us all your insights here. Any parting shots from you?
No, I think this was awesome, Terry. It was actually worked out really well remotely. I'm here at work and can't say enough that it was a great time to be with you on this.
Well, thank you. And here is your leaderboard after round 2. They'll head over to Vista. Valerie, Ohn, Hailey, and Cynthia will be your lead card as we start the back half of this tournament. Thank you. Like, share, and subscribe. Win some jerky and some dis. We appreciate it and love all you guys. Thank you to my Patreon subscribers. We'll see you in the next one.